Hey everybody, it's Melissa Ramos, and I am excited because here we are right now in the free masterclass to help you shed that stubborn hormonal weight. Now, before we dive in, you might be new to all of this and you might be sitting here going, I don't know if this is for me. And if you're feeling like that, I've got a couple of questions for you that I'm just curious about. The first one is, are you walking around feeling completely tired or even fatigued? If that's you, then I definitely want to hear from you right now. I've got my chat box open right now, so I'm just reading some of the responses right now. I've got Danielle saying, "Oh my God, yes, I feel absolutely exhausted." I've even got, oh my goodness, I've got Layla here who's saying tired all the time. The other thing I want to ask you is, do you feel bloated, especially after eating? Probably around like that half an hour mark. Let me know if that is you. Again, firing up. I've got Kelly who says, definitely. I have Greta here who says, I feel like I look 6 months pregnant. So, yes, definitely that is a common thing across the board. And these all interrelate. And we're going to talk about that today. So, you're in the right place. The other thing that I want to ask you is I'm looking over here and just thinking, have you recently looked at yourself and thought, I don't even recognize my body anymore. I feel like I've gained this weight. I can't seem to take it off. And maybe you've been struggling to just get off that last 10 pounds. If that's you, then let me know. So again, I'm just going to check to see if we've got people responding. And of course, we've got people who are definitely relating to this. I've got Nancy again, who's saying, yes, absolutely. That stubborn weight, says Yolanda. So yeah, I completely get it. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story in just a second. And also, I'm curious if there are women who are listening in right now who might have struggled with their weight their entire lives. And if that's you, then I want to be able to really chat with you about that today because we're going to be speaking all about insulin resistance and more. So, if you are struggling with your weight, whether you're perimenopausal, menopausal, if you have felt that you struggled with it all your life, or even trying to get off that last 10 pounds, having digestive issues, feeling depressed, anxious, you name it, I'm covering it today. So I want us to dive in right now because I want to respect your time. So let's get started. All right, guys, let's do this. Okay, guys, well, let's get started. I'm going to tell you right now how you're going to get empowered today. First, we're going to be talking about the surprising effects of inflammation on weight gain. It really isn't just about joint pain. Inflammation plays a major role in weight gain. The next thing we're going to be speaking about is how to kickstart your metabolism when you're insulin resistant. So, PCOS ladies, listen up because I'm here to tell you that metformin is not your only answer. We're also going to be speaking about the hormonal reasons behind perimenopausal and menopausal weight gain and what you can do about it. I see a lot of women in practice who are going through that menopausal year, which is like a 10-year stretch, and they come to me and say, I don't even recognize my body anymore. I can't lose this weight. Or I see women who are in menopause saying, I just feel like it's hopeless. They just told me that I would just gain weight. But there are things you can do. We're also going to be talking about how you can get results despite having adrenal fatigue and thyroid issues. You're not destined for just staying where you are. There is hope. So, I want to break down to you who I am and why I'm qualified to be telling you all this. My name is Melissa Ramos. I'm a nutritionist with a background in Chinese medicine, and I'm also the owner of Sexy Food Therapy, helping people feel sexy from the inside out by balancing their hormones and their digestion. That's pretty much what I do. Now, I am all over the media. I'm a health expert for a national live to air show here in Canada called The Social. It's a lot like The View for some of you Americans listening in. I've also been a TEDx speaker where I was named the Poop Whisperer because I walked out on stage with a Poop Whisperer t-shirt. And I've also gone to LA and I've done an episode of The Doctors. Now, this all seems great, right? But the problem was, as my career started to climb, the pressure began to really mount. And truthfully, I was overworked more than I can even tell you. And I was having a really hard time keeping up. I ate healthy food, don't get me wrong, but I'd stress eat. So, yeah, a bowl of nuts is great with dark chocolate, but not when you're having a full bowl of it and you're eating like two big bowls of it and you're eating it late at night. It's just, I would be eating constantly, constantly. And I drank more just to cope. Now, ladies, I don't know about you, but I certainly know that I'm not anti alcohol or anti wine by any stretch. But I will say that, I was doing it over and above because I was just trying to cope with life. And I think a lot of women listening in could probably relate to this. There were many late nights, and I gave to everybody else except for myself. And how many of you ladies can honestly attest to feeling that way? I tried eating less, I tried exercising harder, but my weight continued to climb. I gained 25 pounds, and in no way am I telling you that this woman in this photo is fat, because I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I was overweight or obese or any of that. What I am saying, though, is I do believe that all of us, at some point or another, can attest to just not feeling comfortable in our own skin. And truly, that's how I felt. And having to be someone who has to put herself out there on TV for the entire country to watch and be a health expert, I felt like a fraud. I was riddled with anxiety, would break down crying, and my husband would look at me and go, "Why are you crying?" Because, bless their sweetheart and face, but men tend to be like mechanics. They just kind of want to fix the problem. And sometimes you just want them to listen to you. But the problem with anxiety is sometimes you don't even know why you have it. My libido was non-existent. So I researched, and I was determined to find the answer. And then I found it. So before, just to recap, I was 25 pounds heavier and my weight was climbing. So after what I learned and what I researched, after 2 months, I was 20 pounds lighter. My muscle tone began to develop, which I didn't think was possible because I had such a hard time developing muscle tone. 1 month later, the last 5 pounds dropped. I got an increased amount of strength, energy, and muscle tone. I felt fantastic. There were several reasons why I gained weight, and it was super revealing, and a lot of it was kind of hard emotionally on me, but I'm glad I did it because it transformed me. And my relationship improved more than I could even tell you. Hello, libido. I dropped physical and emotional weight. And that really was the secret of it. It wasn't just about eating well or exercising or working out harder and eating less. There was a huge emotional component to my weight, and there also was a massive hormonal component. It was a holistic approach. I got my life back, and I want to tell you how you can too. Are you ready? I'm seeing the chat box fire up over here. Nancy's like, hell yes. I've got other people saying exactly what I'm going to tell you next, which is, let's do this. All right, so let's start off with the surprising effects of inflammation with weight gain. When we think of inflammation, we often think of joint pain, but inflammation, our master weight control hormone, leptin, actually causes it to be less effective, thus causing weight gain. So when you have inflammation running through your system, leptin, this hormone, just becomes less effective. And what happens is it actually creates leptin resistance. And why does that matter? Because leptin is supposed to make us feel full. So if we have leptin resistance, we never feel full. You'll struggle with potential decreased fertility, which a lot of people don't realize. Also, the inability to suppress your appetite. And it, of course, can also contribute to obesity because if you never feel full, you're always going to want to eat. A lot of people don't realize this. Signs of inflammation are fatigue. Any of you guys yawning yet? Always when I see a picture like that. Trouble sleeping, difficulties concentrating. I mean, I'm a list girl, okay? But back then, I will tell you, I swear to God, I probably put my keys in the fridge. Like, I just was not thinking. My head was all over the place. I didn't realize it was inflammation. And what do we do when we're tired and stressed? Can anyone tell me this? I've got Victoria going, eat. Yeah, you got it. So I love this. Get back in your pajamas, go to bed, eat nothing but gallons of ice cream and tons of pizza. Yeah, I'm a token Gilmore Girls fan over here. So, yes, we definitely eat. And of course, there's going to be water weight. Inflammation just packs on that water weight big time. And, the rest of it can be fat, but there's a huge portion of it that is water weight. But what's causing it? Now, listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the answer to losing weight is just stop eating gluten, but I will tell you that food allergies produce an inflammatory response leading to increased cravings and food addiction. And I love eating eggs. I'm not going to tell you to stop eating eggs because I love eating them. But if you've got an allergy or a food intolerance to eggs, gluten, sugar, corn, milk, soy, it's going to promote more inflammation. And allergies produce an immediate response versus a food intolerance is a bit harder because it can create symptoms up to 3 to 4 days later, making it really challenging. And truthfully, when I work with women in practice or even in my programs, digestive focus is pretty huge because if your gut is out of balance, it's going to be very difficult for you to achieve any hormonal goals, whether it's weight loss, overcoming PCOS, getting your skin to be clear. It really does affect your entire system. But believe it or not, you can gain 30 pounds in a year from dairy allergy or intolerance. Now, yes, that's over the course of a year. But do you really want to look back at 2017 and go, wow, I gained 30 pounds that year? Because you just didn't want to stop eating or drinking dairy? And yes, when I say this, I also mean things like Greek yogurt and kefir. Those are really common questions I get, so absolutely those are inclusive to this. I know, shocking, right? Here's one thing I would strongly suggest to you right off the bat for inflammation is a must-have is probiotics. And I'm a huge fan of Natron Healthy Start System. They are the best probiotics in the market, in my opinion. And honestly, inflammation begins in the gut, so you need to be able to be looking at that first. Probiotics can relieve intestinal inflammation, so they're a must. And they also reduce the permeability of a damaged gut lining. So in other words, I'm talking about a leaky gut. When you've got little holes in your small intestine where food passes through, then your body recognizes that as an invader and you develop a food intolerance or a food allergy, sort of reaction to it. So my suggestion is to take Natron Healthy Start System and take 1 capsule from each bottle at breakfast. Fish oil. Listen, we talk about fish oil a lot. And people know the benefits of fish oil and they're great for inflammation. However, I will say that if for inflammation specifically, you want to make sure that you're taking a fish oil that's high in EPA. Because it suppresses inflammation, it's also useful for neuroinflammation, meaning the brain. Our brain does not have pain receptors on it, which makes it very difficult to know when our brain is inflamed. And if our brain is inflamed because of inflammation in the gut that could be promoting weight gain, you could also be suffering from depression. I often see women who've got inflammatory issues with gut issues, with weight issues, also suffer from depression as well. They tend to be quite related. So look for at least 1,500 milligrams of EPA when you're looking for a brand. My direction is to take 1 teaspoon at breakfast and dinner. If you take the soft gels, I would suggest taking 2 soft gels at breakfast and at dinner. If you suspect that you have increased inflammation, then ask your doctor to test your C-reactive protein. This is something they can do by blood. This is your GP that can do this, and it just helps. It's the key marker for inflammation. You'll want to make sure that you get that tested. And bone marrow. As we were talking a lot, inflammation really does begin in the gut. And bone marrow helps to actually contains glycine, a protein that helps to produce stomach acid to break down food. If you're not breaking down food properly, you'll find that you get bloated about half an hour after eating. And if you're not breaking down that food, you'll have a problem digesting protein. And you'll have a problem digesting your food, which can ferment in the gut, create bloating, gas, and even cause you to be constipated as well. It's also rich in L-glutamine, which helps to repair the intestinal lining from that leaky gut. So if you want to make bone broth, for example, you want to boil the bones first for 20 minutes to remove any impurities that could make the bone broth taste kind of ranky. but it can also irritate the gut. And I hear this from people, and it's because they're not boiling the bones first. A lot of people don't know this. From a taste perspective, afterwards, you can roast them for 30 minutes at 350 degrees for added flavor, and then you can just throw them in a big pot with lots of vegetables and onions and garlic and just let it simmer for a good 24 hours. Now, I do want to tell you that, as I mentioned off the top when you first saw me on camera, is that I do have a gift at the end, and it does actually include my bone marrow broth that I think that you are absolutely going to adore, that follows these steps that I've just mentioned here. So if you're frantically writing, don't, because there is a gift at the end that does include this if you stay till the end. All right, so I want to kind of give you a breakdown on what a girl that I had worked with, this woman, Flavia, and this is what she mentioned after working with her privately. She said, following Melissa's recipes, it's so easy. I didn't even miss the food I used to emotionally eat. After discovering an intolerance to soy, which I thought would be challenging as a vegetarian, and getting on Melissa's plan, things really began to shift. With Melissa's incredible support, she helped me adjust my diet easily. And I lost my muffin top, which I thought would never happen. Plus, I no longer suffered with anxiety, and my bonus, my skin cleared up. So it's interesting when I see women who end up losing the stubborn weight that they thought never was possible, that other things begin to lift as well. They have more energy, their skin clears up, they feel better, they're walking with more confidence. All of these things are totally intermingled. And I do want to touch upon stress, depression, and anxiety because they increase inflammation. We often think of things as a physical, and I see this a lot with people. It's like, what pill can I take? And what exercises can I do? What do I do, Melissa? And a huge portion of it is lifestyle, and a huge portion of it is the emotional component, which I'm huge on. Because ladies, honestly, many of you have zero boundaries. You struggle asking for help. I've got the chat box lighting up already, and Melanie is saying, yup. You give to everyone at the expense of yourself, right? You suppress your emotions. Maybe you don't recognize who you are anymore. You're exhausted, overwhelmed, reactive maybe. This mindset and stress is packing on emotional and physical weight. I'm telling you this. Fat by nature was there to protect us. So when we're stressed and we pack on weight, it's almost like our body's subconscious way of trying to protect us. As messed up as that might sound to you, it is 100% the truth. Setting boundaries, I will tell you, is your first step to taking your life back. It was crucial for me. I do that now in my practice. I do that now personally. And it doesn't create walls. It doesn't mean I'm not giving enough. It means I'm just creating enough space so I can love and serve bigger. So, first thing is first, recognize and take accountability for where you have given too much despite possibly knowing the outcome. So really think about it. Take accountability, because that's a really big thing to do in our lives to actually shift forward in the right direction. Otherwise, we stay being a victim. Otherwise, we stay complaining about the same thing. We have to take accountability. Where was my role in this? And then from there, write down and set new boundaries. What and who will you be saying no to? It doesn't mean you're not loving them. And I have to say that again, because I felt that way, because I love to give. I would overextend myself all the time because that was just me. But now with boundaries, I'm able to love so much more, and my relationships have improved. And the other thing is, where can you ask for help? It's a big one. Because if you don't, you can't do everything. No matter how much you're like, I'm not going to ask him to do it. I can just do it better myself. Sit down with your husband. Ask yourself, how do I want to show up in this? These are all things I speak with women, especially in the Sexy Shed, because I want women to feel empowered to make the right decisions so we can lower that stress response and to lift the emotional weight so the physical can follow. I also ask people, what are the disadvantages of getting what you want? And the reason why that I say that is because oftentimes we tend to idolize something. We might idolize that house, making more money, having a baby, dropping the weight, having new clothes, finding the love of our life. And all of these things. These are things that we want, but we never ask ourselves, what's the disadvantages of getting what I want? Because they're there. The flip side that I ask women when I work with them, either in a group program like the Sexy Shed, which is my 2-month live weight loss program, I also ask them, what are the advantages if you never got it? So what are the advantages if you never got that house or the job of your dreams or the man of your dreams or the baby or any of it? What would be the advantages if you never got it? How would it serve you? How would it help you serve others around you? These are really tough questions. They're not meant to be easy, but they certainly do push you in the right direction. I look at this and we think of the concept of being happy. And I realize that everyone is trying to search to be happy, but happiness is a byproduct of certain behaviors. Like we think, when I get this, I will be happy, like I mentioned. When I, do all this, I'm going to be happy. But happiness is a byproduct of certain behaviors, and it's like playing a musical instrument. It's hard at the beginning, but with practice, you get way better at it. It really does come down to practice. It isn't a goal, so you got to get that out of your head. It's a learned skill that requires the right tools to establish mindfulness, perspective, and continual practice. But unfortunately, we've never learned to do this. This is a huge thing, is that we think this is a learned skill. Happiness is a learned skill. If you can just think of it that way versus a destination, you will change your mindset with good practice and the right tools. And this is something that I work so hard with women. And the women that I see coming out are like completely night and day. Not even how they look, but how they hold themselves and who they are. It's unbelievable. So I know you're probably thinking right now, yeah. Okay, no more woo-woo stuff, all the happiness and la 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 la. I know. Hear me out. I want you to check out another testimonial here. Maria. I worked with Maria privately. All right. She's got 3 kids, a husband. And she says, after my second daughter, Bella, I couldn't shed the weight no matter what I did. Soon after, I became depressed. I felt alone and my relationship suffered. After working with Melissa privately, I felt that she had my back. Sure, I've worked with NDs and other nutritionists and lost weight before, but I just gained it back. But Melissa was the first person who made me dig deep to the root of it. I was able to heal a part of myself where I finally rediscovered who I was and was thus able to lose the weight. Putting myself first has been a game changer. Still not convinced? Check this out. A study coming out of the Ohio State University showed that participants who reported 1 or more stressors during the past day burned 104 fewer calories than non-stressed women over the course of the day. The stressed women had higher levels of insulin, which is your fat storage hormone, and lower rates of burning fat, suggesting they were storing more fat. So boom, scientifically proven, my friends. So let's talk about how to kickstart that metabolism when you're insulin resistant. This is for my PCOS ladies out there specifically, because I know there's a lot of them listening in, and I'm going to tell you why metformin isn't always the answer. This could also be for a lot of women out there who are suffering with type 2 diabetes. So what does it mean to be insulin resistant? Here's the vicious cycle. You're stressed. What do? We eat. Specifically, carbs is generally the thing, or we drink wine, everything that just breaks down to sugar. We have increased insulin, which increased insulin means we have an increased amount of a hormone that tells our body to store fat. From that, we have a decreased amount of something called sex hormone binding globulin. And what that is, that's a protein. And its only function is to bind to testosterone and bind to estrogen so we can take it out of the body. But the problem is when we have increased amount of insulin, the fat storage hormone, we have less of this protein. So it can't bind to estrogen and testosterone. So what happens? We have an increased amount of that testosterone and estrogen, which leads to anovulation, hirsutism, which is facial hair, and even infertility. And what do we see? Insulin resistance, weight gain, and abdominal obesity. This is a big thing. I mean, especially with women who've got increased levels of insulin, they tend to see it also. Tricep fat is a really big one. A lot of fat around the abdomen. If there's increased amounts of estrogen, we'll also see weight deposition in various areas as well. But this becomes a very big, vicious cycle. And being insulin resistant also means that there's increased level of estrogen, as I mentioned, in the body, leading to junk in the trunk. I have a bunch of people. Wow, the chat box just fired up. Everyone's laughing their butts off. Okay, but this is true. Estrogen loves to pack on the bum, hips, and thighs. I mean, listen, you could be predisposed to that's maybe just your body shape, but if you're gaining weight and that's where it's sitting, you can pretty much bet that it's generally estrogen related. Excess estrogen can also lead to estrogen related anxiety. And I do want to speak about this because, as you know, I'm not just going to be talking about the physical stuff, because you're going to miss a huge part of how you can lose this weight, because I want you to get past this estrogen related anxiety. So what can be done? Inositol powder. Inositol powder is fantastic because it relaxes the nerves, it lowers excess estrogen and testosterone. Now, if your testosterone is already low, you don't have to worry about it lowering it further. It actually only lowers it in subjects who have an excess amount of it. It also helps the liver metabolize fats, okay? And this is really important because helping the liver metabolize fat and doing liver work is essential when you're trying to lose weight. The liver, along with the muscles, stores glycogen, which is sugar. And we have tons of it because 90 million Americans have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So doing liver work is always a good idea. And in every single one of my plans I've ever created, there's always liver supportives so that we can address that as well. It also helps with hormone balancing. So the directions here is to take a half a teaspoon at breakfast and dinner and slowly work up to 1 tablespoon. And the reason why that I say that is because it relaxes the nerves. It can relax it a little bit too much and you can have loose poops, bloating, and even gas. Now, this is common with some women with, taking inositol powder. It's the reason why you want to build up slowly with it. So it's just something I always caution women about. Just be careful and go slowly. But it is phenomenal for anxiety, like absolutely a game changer. You see, chronic high consumption of alcohol, as Amy Schumer is just downing it, not only congests the liver, which, as we know, the liver is important for hormones, and the liver is important for fat loss, but it significantly increases estrogen levels. So, ladies, if you are drinking more than 3 to 4 servings of wine per week, it's not exactly a good idea if you're trying to lose weight. I'm not saying no alcohol. I'm just saying get a better balance on it. And it's definitely something that is required as part of my program. Otherwise, women are like, I don't want to give up my, 4 servings, 5 servings, 7 servings of alcohol per week, or binge drinking on the weekend, which women are prone to doing. And then the only thing I can ask them is, well, how bad do you want it? As in your goals. Like, how bad do you want it? Like, think about it. So let's talk a little bit about metformin, because I know a lot of women who are on it, and I want to talk about the side effects and the alternatives. Most common side effect of metformin is digestive upset and also a deficiency in vitamin B12. So let's look at the gut a bit. Metformin reduces the absorption of bile acids, and these are produced in your liver. Now, excess bile acids in the colon actually cause diarrhea. And that's the reason, well, one of the reasons, because there's a multitude of reasons for the digestive upset, but this is one of the reasons why it happens. Metformin actually also causes an accumulation of lactic acid produced by bacteria in the intestines, which can also cause some or all of the side effects. If your diet is high in starch and sugar, these symptoms, I can guarantee you, will be much worse. So if you're on metformin and no one has advised you on how to properly eat, then you're just going to end up having these digestive issues, and they're going to become worse and worse. A 2013 study published in Medinsky-Glaskey found an association between overweight and obesity and low vitamin B12 levels. Think about it. You're on metformin, and it could actually reduce the amount of B12 that you're having, but Yet women who are overweight and obese already have low levels of vitamin B12. So, not exactly a good thing. So again, we go back to those probiotics because they're crucial. The Nature and Healthy Start system, because it pushes out the bad gut bacteria in favor for the good. It improves digestive function, which we know will help with inflammation. We know it's going to help, especially if you're taking a medication that could potentially be a bit of a doozy on your digestive system. But it also produces B12. A lot of people don't realize that, but good healthy bacteria produces vitamin B12. So again, take 1 capsule from each bottle at breakfast. If I haven't convinced you that probiotics are needed, this should be an indicator. You know how enzymes actually help you to break down food? Probiotics help you assimilate your nutrients from food. So incredibly important. A B complex, huge. And the reason why that I like Thorne, and I have no affiliation to this brand or AOR, but I will say that those two brands have formulas in which their B vitamins are in their active forms. So don't go to Costco and get your B vitamins, or maybe your drugstore where you got something on sale. Get the ones that are actually going to work. They help the body metabolize protein, fat, and carbohydrates, which actually aids in weight loss. Obesity increases the breakdown of niacin, which is a B vitamin. So replenishing it is key. You really do lose that. And a study in 2015 published in the Advances in Nutrition found that 15 to 29% of those who were seeking weight loss surgery were deficient in vitamin B1. So more of a case that especially in overweight or obese women and even men have low levels of various B vitamins in their system. My directions is to take 1 capsule at breakfast and lunch. You always want to make sure that you take your B vitamins with food, otherwise you can get nauseous. So how do you stabilize your blood sugar? Now listen, yes, you can take fiber for sure. It's great for your poops. And I know a lot of people are taking chromium as an alternative. But the Sexy Shed, which is my 2-month live coaching hormone weight loss program, actually has a supplement protocol that's been designed to be simple and effective. Not to stress you out, but simple and effective that doesn't have all these things that are attached to it. And listen, I love food. I love food. I got the chat box. I have some people agreeing with me here. So yes, I adore food. And I love this. This is one of my recipes. It's my avocado chips. It's a grain-free recipe. Super good with a sriracha mayo. But I will tell this. I love high fat and lower carb because it satiates me. But believe it or not, even high amounts of protein can increase insulin levels in the body. And a lot of people don't know that. And remember, insulin is your fat storage hormone. Too much protein can also disrupt your sleep. Another big eye-opener for a lot of people. No pun intended. And a lot of people who are consuming tons of protein, what they don't realize is your body can only metabolize so much. So as a rule of thumb, a deck of cards is about 3 ounces or so, 3-4 ounces. And that's really how big your protein should be on your plate. You really want to think of your diet being more plant-based, meat as a condiment, and higher levels of fat. And I know this recipe looks delicious. It's smothered in cheese. It's not my recipe. And the reason why is because I don't use dairy in my recipes, because dairy can increase insulin, your fat storage hormone, at any given meal by 300%. So with so many variations of paleo and the ketogenic diet, it's no wonder why people are confused and not getting results. You go on a keto page and they've got cheese upon bacon upon meat upon more bacon. I'm like, where did your vegetables go? So let's check out another one of my girls. Love Carrie Lynn. She's a phenomenal woman. And here are her results. Okay. Her body shape just completely changed. She says, working with Melissa, and she worked with me in the Sexy Shed, working with Melissa taught me how to love myself again. And when that clicked for me, the pounds almost melted off. The connection between mind and body is so powerful. I'm happy with the results. Not only the physical change I see in the mirror or when I put on my favorite jeans, but the emotional shift and change that's happened is invaluable. My confidence has returned and maybe even grown a little. I'm happier, brighter, and lighter in more ways than one. I can't say enough about this program. Now the tools to go. Now I have the tools to go when I feel myself slipping. Invaluable. This is one of my sexy shedders that I call, and she absolutely crushed it. So let's dive into another category of women, which is the women who really struggle with perimenopausal weight gain. And I want to talk about the hormonal reasons behind it and what you can do. See, perimenopause is all about hormonal surges, and the chief hormone that begins to decline first is progesterone. We get dry skin from it, we get hot flashes from it. We also maybe have low libido, mood swings. These are all symptoms of it. And low progesterone levels are associated with increased weight gain and imbalanced levels of estrogen. Okay? So low progesterone, all of a sudden, it almost sort of looks by comparison that the estrogen levels are high. And we get a lot of weight gain, especially around the abdomen and bum, hips, and thighs. Without progesterone there to anchor estrogen, women are more susceptible to estrogen-related conditions, especially fibroids and even cancer. Actually, our rates of cancer increase as we age because we have that progesterone drop and no anchor for that estrogen. And I will tell you that 75% of women will get a fibroid by the time that they reach 50 years old. It's crazy. So what can be done? First and foremost, I will tell you this. A study in fertility and sterility showed that 750 milligrams of vitamin C taken over 6 months increased progesterone levels. Now, before you go running out to buy vitamin C, especially those chewables, which I will tell you, please don't buy because they're full of sugar, or those little sugary packs that you put into your water and it fizzes, don't buy that stuff. Because 80% of vitamin C is eliminated through bowel movements. 80%. So I always tell people, take something called liposomal vitamin C. It's a different form of it. You might also see it here. Lipospheric is this one brand that is their own sort of trademark name, but it is called liposomal vitamin C. You can find it on Amazon, maybe at your health food store, but one sachet actually is equivalent to 1,000 milligrams. And I always say take, one of those 3 times a day with food, and that honestly would be a phenomenal way to start, and the absorption is way better. It's almost, it's very similar, I will say, to the Myers cocktail, which is when vitamin C is actually injected into your system so you can take it intravenously. Evening primrose oil helps to support progesterone levels. Simply take 2,000 milligram capsules once daily with breakfast and also with dinner. So this is a huge fan of mine. I love evening primrose oil. I take it. I'm almost 40, and I honestly feel that it does wonders, especially for my hair, my skin, my nails, my moods, even my periods, and also managing my weight a bit, because if my progesterone levels drop, I don't want to have that fluctuation where I could potentially gain weight. And I've mentioned this, guys, but lowering stress levels, since chronically elevated stress hormones can compete with your sex hormones, namely progesterone. So you might be like, I don't have hormone issues. Yeah, I'm stressed. I'm always stressed. If you're stressed, there's hormonal issues because of the fact that if cortisol, your stress hormone, is increased all the time, your stress hormones can compete with your sex hormones. And that's a fact. So stress management is key. So check out what Celia had to say. And this is another one of my sexy shedders. And I'm so freaking proud of this woman. Okay. She says, the sexy shed wasn't just about weight loss for me. It was a journey of self-discovery. It has taught me that I control what I eat. Now I talk openly about my food choices and I ask for what I want at a restaurant. It doesn't matter what others think. What is important is my health and well-being. My friends and family have seen such a difference in me. So far, I have lost 14 pounds and 1 to 4 inches in different areas. Now I love exercising and can do exercises I never thought I could do when I first got started. Through all of this, I have learned that I am so worth it. Honestly, I've seen this woman before. She is a completely different woman. Completely different. Just even the way she speaks, how she holds herself, everything. I'm so freaking proud of her. So let's talk about how to get results despite having adrenal and thyroid issues. The biggest mistake that people make with an underactive thyroid is that they don't work on the adrenals, which is at the root of it. They're always tired. They got body aches, a low libido, mild depression and anxiety, and the muffin top. Yes, adrenal fatigue will create a lot of weight gain, especially around the abdomen. So here's what you can do. One of my favorite herbs is ashwagandha. It's a very calming herb for stressed out nervous system, especially if you're high strung. 2 caps after dinner before bed because it's a slight sedative. I wouldn't take this while you're pregnant or while you're breastfeeding versus something like probiotics is an absolute mandatory to take when you're breastfeeding or pregnant. But ashwagandha, I would avoid it. Also, kelp. So iodine supplements are not pure iodine, okay? Kelp actually contains natural iodine plus fiber to aid in the digestion of it. It's also safe for those with hyperthyroid as well as hypothyroid. So I'd suggest taking 1 capsule with breakfast daily. Again, you want to avoid this if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, or speak to your medical doctor for more. Here's my latest thing, guys. I'm so obsessed with mushroom tonics. I can't even tell you. Okay, so this one is actually from a company called Four Sigmatic Foods. Again, no affiliation with them, but I love their stuff. They give a lot of their profits to women with cancer, believe it or not. But they have this mushroom hot cocoa mix with reishi. So good. So reishi mushroom tonics, they are amazing for the adrenals as an adaptogen, meaning it helps the body adapt to stress. And it's also an immune modulator, which is great for people who've got Hashimoto's because you don't want to stimulate the immune system. You don't want the immune system to go underactive either. You want to balance and modulate it. So reishi mushroom is fantastic. The other thing to note is that anyone who's got Hashimoto's really needs to be working on a leaky gut. So the inflammatory section that we just went through and the probiotics, all of that is crucial because gut work is massive with autoimmune conditions because that's where it all begins. Here's another wonderful tip. The Himalayan salt brine. Very good for the adrenals. If you're stressed out, you got to make this, okay? Also, if you're drinking loads of water and you're like, but I got to pee every 2 seconds, chances are your cells might actually not be absorbing it properly. This actually will help, so you're not peeing as often. So you're going to add 2 of those large chunks to a large mason jar, okay, filled with water. And you're going to let that sit overnight, and the next day it's going to essentially be a salt brine because those salt chunks would have been disintegrated. They would have just, like they're a part of it. So the next day, what you're going to do is you're going to add 1 teaspoon of that salt brine into an 8-ounce glass of water, maybe even a little bit less to start. This has helped so many of my women. I tell them this little secret. They love it. Some of them are like, I have more energy. This is crazy. Of course, because salt, your adrenals love salt, but not crappy salt, good quality salt like Himalayan sea salt, which is filled with minerals which nourish the adrenal glands. So if you're looking for some adrenal love, this is fantastic. So I would highly, highly suggest this. So one thing I will say, it's not to be taken if you suffer from high blood pressure, although it's great for people who've got low blood pressure. All right, moving forward. Check out what Therese had to say. This is huge. And you don't want to know why? Because Therese had Hashimoto's. Another one of my sexy shedders, listen to what she had to say. Before I started the Sexy Shed, I was so frustrated. After the birth of my son, I developed Hashimoto's thyroiditis and found it nearly impossible to keep weight off, even though I'd already lost 100 pounds previous to that. I just kept gaining and losing the same 10 pounds over and over again. I wasn't sure what else to do. I joined Melissa's program in the hopes that I could jumpstart my metabolism again. After 60 days, I finally broke through that set point and finally feel like I'm on the right track again. On top of that, I completely redefined my relationship with food. I stopped overindulging, rarely felt hungry between meals, and for the first time, I feel in control of food rather than the food controlling me. Melissa doesn't just tell you what to do, she teaches you why, which helps to reinforce the habits you want to create. The Sexy Shed is a must for any woman who's struggling with hormonal weight issues. I am so proud of her. If you have Hashimoto's or any thyroid condition, just being able to break through that plateau is a celebration enough. And that is something I'm super confident that I can do with women. The amount of women, though, that I see that are on a truckload of supplements but still have adrenal issues and are struggling with their weight is astounding. So why is this? because they've missed the emotional healing and have not implemented any mindset tools or lifestyle changes. And I consistently try to drive this home with women. I'm always like, you have to start there. What can I do with my adrenals? Lifestyle and mindset. I can help you, but let me help you with this. So, the biggest mistake that we are led to believe is that we are always trying to get there. And as I mentioned this before, when I get this, I will be happy. When I have this, when I have more money, I'll be happy. The man of my dreams, the baby, the house, the job, I will be happy. But you have to understand, these all cause stresses and a poor mindset because we're idolizing the future and hating on the present. And it just puts us in this fight or flight response, which makes us gain weight. You saw the scientific studies to show that women gain weight when they're under stress because we're all trying to get there. We're all trying to get there. It's a complete delusion, people. True mindset work is about harnessing the right tools so we can implement the practice of embodiment. So what does that mean? Embodiment is about embodying all aspects, tools that require practice, so that we can catch ourselves when our inner critic speaks up. You know what I'm talking about, right? When we want to lose it and become reactive. Embodying is the practice of all elements that can bring in more love and abundance into our lives. And as I mentioned before, it is a practice. It isn't about getting there. Oh, one day when I get there, I'll have my shit together. No one has their shit together. And excuse my language, but it's the truth. It's a practice of embodiment, but it's all those byproducts of happiness that can help us. By being vulnerable and holding ourselves accountable for our own bullshit story, we can move past our victim state mentality, which I see all the time with women, and lead more fulfilling lives and deeper relationships. It can help you emotionally. And once you do that, you are going to start to see what you were holding on to. And a lot of the times, that was that weight that was trying to protect us subconsciously. Remember, what you focus in on expands. So what are you focusing on? What is your story that you repeat over and over like the devil's jukebox in your head that you complain about all the freaking time? You're complaining, you just talk about it. You talk about this. Well, I got to get it out. Everyone complains. I'm angry. I got to talk this out. It's just, you're focusing on this thing. It just keeps expanding. All it requires is practice, and it requires community support, which is the reason why that I created the Sexy Shed, because there's a whole group of women that can be there to support one another to help them get through it all. That's where we need to go. We lift each other up, ladies. We can't do this alone. So, I have to ask you now, how are you feeling? Are you feeling empowered? Let me know, guys. How are you feeling? Okay, so I've got Lisa who says, holy info, but it was great. And I've also got Helen who says, empowered. And I've got Yolanda here who says, I can't wait for Sexy Shed. Man, you and me both, girl. Okay, I don't know about you, but I am thrilled to be able to talk to you about the Sexy Shed and why I feel it would be perfect for you. If you join today, here is what you'll receive. Are you guys excited for this? Okay, clearly because my chat box is on fire right now. I've got Melanie saying, hell yes. I've got Tanya saying, I want more. I've got Rita saying, I'm so excited for this. Okay, guys, let's dive in. I'm also going to tell you there will be specials only for you because you guys showed up live. So this is going to be incredible. And not to mention, I didn't say at the top of this masterclass, you're also going to get a free gift. So if you're hanging on for that, just wait a little bit more. We're almost there. You're going to get a 2-month live coaching program centered all around helping you shed that stubborn weight, no matter what your age is. We're going to have 6 live coaching calls. The first one being how to prep for success so that you feel that I'm there holding your hand, making sure that you got this and you got everything you need. I'm also going to be doing a second one called Improving Your Digestion for Weight Loss. We've seen how an imbalanced gut can lead to weight gain. So I'm going to be talking all about that and reducing that inflammation. estrogen dominant conditions and weight loss. This is my specialty, guys. So if you're struggling with your weight and you've got PCOS, endo, fibroids, adenomyosis, you name it, I'm going to be talking so much more about it because we only skimmed the surface today. Overcoming insulin resistance and elevated testosterone levels, especially if you've got testosterone-related PCOS, which I see a lot in practice. And these are women who really want to lose a lot of weight, but they've plateaued, they can't break through because of that insulin resistance, and I've got incredible tools just for you. Ooh, perimenopause and menopause. This is a good one. We're going to dive deep into treatment plans because whether you're in perimenopausal stage of all those hormonal surges or menopausal or even postmenopausal, these are different hormonal phases. And I've got such an excellent call for you, and I want to hear your questions. I want to answer all of them. And I've got some great tools that you can implement right away. And how anyone can go from burning sugar to burning fat in under an hour. I'm telling you, this is a huge part of the sexy shed that is so highly effective that it's going to blow your mind. And don't worry, replays will be made available for those who can't attend. In addition to that, you're also going to receive coaching call recap notes with recommendations for any additional nutrition, supplement, or lifestyle tools that you may need. Plus, I'm thrilled to announce that I've got 5 powerhouse of female experts offering live coaching. These women are incredible. They're going to be talking about fitness and body image, adrenals, thyroid, and Hashimoto's, calming the nervous system for weight loss, conquering your inner mean girl, an identity crisis that most women face today. Me included, I definitely went through this. This was a huge eye-opener for me. And you're going to get access to 60-day access to the Sexy Shed private Facebook group. Guys, this is where the magic happens. Anyone who's ever taken any of my programs, even did the 5-day detox challenge, which was a free 5-day detox challenge, people loved being a part of that group because of the community support that was formed. Truthfully, you get so much motivation, support, and you're held accountable, especially by me. I love holding people accountable because I want you guys to get results. So if you were a part of my free 5-day detox challenge and I saw the results coming out of there and you did so well, if that's what 5 days can do for you, imagine what 2 months with me could do. I'm telling you, I'm so excited to work with you. You're also going to receive video check-ins by me, resident nutritionist Catherine Shugru. So if I can't answer your question right away, she certainly can grab it before I do. Tools, tricks, and tactics by me and Catherine, and even your fellow shedders. And can we please talk about food for just a second? Yep, the recipe book. All right, I just got to stop. Like, this is the best ever. This is my version of the Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal, which is not exactly good for you, but I made a grain-free version and it is delicious. Also, my stuffed eggplant. Can I just make a note to tell you that I hate eggplant? This made me an absolute believer of the eggplant. So I love it. It totally just makes me drool. It's a vegan actual recipe. You guys are going to adore it. Believe me, it will change your mind on the eggplant if you didn't like it, just like I didn't. Also, my smoked salmon stuffed avocados, which are so good. My faux potato salad, which is just chocked full of vegetables and healthy fats. And my fat bombs that are strawberry and nut butter based, and they're so delicious. Yes, you can have desserts on this weight loss protocol. I'm telling you, yes, desserts. It sounds too good to be true, but I am a huge fan of making desserts where I don't feel guilty after eating them, that are great for my waistline, give me energy, and satisfy my sweet tooth. Sound good? And of course, there are recipes for meat eaters, vegetarians, and vegans. I get this question all the time. And also we can talk about it in the private Facebook group of how we can help you out if you're looking for ideas. You're also going to receive a shopping list and sample meal plan, a hormone balancing protocol, which I've made note of what you should avoid if you're breastfeeding. A lot of women have been asking me about this program. Can I do this program if I'm breastfeeding to help me to shed this post-hormonal weight that I've packed on, post-baby weight? And yes, it's absolutely safe. And I have made note of those supplements that you should avoid, but it still will absolutely be effective. Cooking video tutorial is included, plus an educational tutorial that you're going to love to help to kickstart your weight loss goals. And there will be transcripts made available for you. I've also included recommended fitness resources so you can move and shake your body to a healthier, hotter version of you. The best part? You get lifetime access to all the content. So if you are on a beach when we start, so purchase doors open today. They close on January 31st. And I want to give people time to prep. So we actually kick off the coaching in February. So beginning of February, the 13th is like the second coaching call. The first week is, just the first one, and we're just talking to help you prep. But if you're on a beach somewhere or you can't make any of the times, whatever, don't sweat it. All the content is going to be stored on the portal. So when you get back, it's there and you've got lifetime access. So don't feel that this is time limited because you always got that material. All right. So you're probably wondering how much, right? Fair question. So let me recap this. 6 live coaching calls with me, 5 expert live coaching calls, replays, recap notes with recommendations, access to the private Facebook group with fellow shedders, recipe book filled with over 100 recipes, sample meal plan, shopping list to make shopping a breeze, hormone balancing supplement protocol, fitness recommendations provided, cooking video tutorial with transcripts, and so also with the educational tutorial with transcripts, and lifetime access to all the content provided on the portal. Sweet, right? Total value of this, when I was speaking to my team, it's $1,000 and worth every penny. But you're here, you're live. I was like, I'm not going to charge them that. Not $800, not $700, not $600, not $500, and not $400. Today, you're going to get it for one payment of $297. But wait, I want to do one more thing. I want to throw in a bonus worth $600 for free if you join today. For free. What is it? I've created this new thing, completely brand new, and it's weightless mindset coaching. And it actually includes 4 coaching calls. They're going to kick off in March. Again, those replays and the notes will be made available if you can't effectively so you can move forward in your life. Also, how to overcome addictions and get their associations to weight gain, because addictions are huge when it comes to weight issues. So we're going to dive deep on that and really crack that open. Also, staying on the bandwagon. How many times have you fallen off the bandwagon? And getting empowered for sustainable weight loss, right? You want to keep this. This isn't a quick fix. I want you to go out there and rock it. And improving relationships and losing the emotional and physical weight. Because once you fix all the stuff that's going on internally, remove all the garbage and unlearn the stuff that just isn't serving you, you're going to walk out, you're going to come into this program and strut right on out. This is a $600 value, guys, but I'm giving it to you for free today when you buy Sexy Shed. It's $1,000. I was going to say $100. $1,000 value for the Sexy Shed, plus the $600 bonus comes out to a $1,600 total value. All you're going to get empowered for just $297. Pretty good, right? So I want to leave you with this. Trying to lose weight without addressing emotional issues is a bit like trying to drive with the emergency brake on. So yeah. This is a holistic plan, guys, and I got to ask you, what are you waiting for? $1,600 value, all for $297. This is a steal, and it's only going to be made available just for you guys. What do you have to lose, really, other than the weight that may be holding you back? Got questions? I've got answers. So I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to take some questions from you guys right now, and let's get started. Okay, guys, so as you can see, I have a timer that is going off right now. It's counting down 15 minutes. And that's when this bonus, the $297, is going to expire. So before I get into any more and dive into some questions, I do want to say that I know that some people were having some tech glitches. So with that said, I did want to continue to do the free masterclass because there were a lot of people who still were able to get the connection. So I wanted to be able to respect their time as well. So don't worry about it. A replay still will go out so that you can still access the content, even if you had some rough patches along the way. So don't worry about that. In the meantime, again, under 15 minutes, but I want to just check out over here my monitor with some of the questions that you guys had. So Alice asks, what is a normal range for C-reactive protein? Now we spoke about C-reactive protein as a marker for inflammation. It's a pretty crucial one. So if you have a C-reactive protein greater than 3, it usually means that you have a pretty high risk for cardiovascular issues. You want to make sure that it's around the 1, maybe around that mark. If you're getting into 10 milligrams per liter, that definitely is a sign that there's very high levels of inflammation. So even if you're at a 3, you still want to make sure that you take that seriously because inflammation is something that most certainly can cause weight gain. All right, so we've got another question here from Kelly. It says, I've lived many years with inflammation. Now I have MCS, and for those of you guys who don't know what that is multiple chemical sensitivity. Can I find a way to heal my body? I have been told that ultimately I will probably become anaphylactic. Help, I have so many symptoms you are outlining. So, and obviously, Kelly, you're here because you're honestly looking to, shed some of that weight as well. So it's not exactly surprising to me that you also have chemical sensitivities. So when it comes to you, for me personally, when I designed the Sexy Shed was designed with the intention in mind that we were also going to make sure that we lower that inflammatory response. And by lowering that inflammatory response for you and also helping to support the liver, so those things are going to be crucial for you, especially when dealing with MCS, multiple chemical sensitivity. And also working on the gut. And these are all things because I do believe it's a holistic approach. So it's not to say that you're going to overcome this in a month, but certainly you're going to be able to move past this the more that you really work on digestive health, which includes your liver, leaky gut, and definitely with those anti-inflammatory foods. So, I know that it's probably really hard for you right now, but I also want to be able to say that it is possible. And in the Sexy Shed, I certainly outline a wonderful protocol that is highly anti-inflammatory, that does address the liver, that does address the gut, and has a lot of community support. So you definitely have come to the right place. All right, guys, just to check in, we're under 12 minutes right now, so I just want to put that out there. Lauren asks, should we get certain tests to see if our hormone levels really are out of whack, or can we take these supplements if we have the symptoms but have not had any tests done to confirm? So it's a great question. I do offer testing in practice, and I have one that is the Dutch test, which is a very comprehensive hormone panel test. It is quite expensive. But quite often what I normally see with women is a lot of symptom-based stuff. So women might come to me and say, like, I'm trying to lose this excess weight, and I have, that excess weight around the hips, thighs, and bum, even around the abdomen. And I'm looking at this going, this person's probably very stressed, maybe has high estrogen levels, especially since she also came to me and said that she has fibroids or that she has ovarian cysts. These are all definitely things that interrelate with one another. So I would strongly say to you that yes, you definitely can get tests done. Your doctor will only probably do so much. I usually suggest women to get testing done with their medical doctor, especially if they have polycystic ovarian syndrome, because in those cases in particular, I want to be able to see if you have just get a baseline about your testosterone levels, even your DHEA, which is a male hormone produced by your adrenal glands. And it's a great idea to at least see where you're at with that in particular. So that's definitely one thing. But in terms of a very comprehensive hormone test, I would say that a lot of it would probably be based on either getting the Dutch test, which is a bit expensive, or seeing a qualified practitioner like myself, analyzing those symptoms. And in the Sexy Shed, as I mentioned just towards the end of this masterclass, is that we are going to be doing those coaching calls that are going to be very hormone specific. So are you going to take all these supplements? No, I mean, you're not going to take all these supplements, but probiotics most definitely are a huge one that you should definitely consider. If you suffer from fibroids or estrogen-related conditions, endo, PCOS, cysts, adenomyosis, inositol is fantastic. It's also great for that estrogen-related anxiety. So a lot of them are absolutely safe. And in the Sexy Shed, I'm very clear as to what you can and can't take, especially for women who are breastfeeding. Just to check in, guys, under 10 minutes remain. Okay, so Melissa, do you recommend doing all these supplements together? I don't necessarily say to do all the supplements together. You have to really just cherry pick on which ones would be best. So the probiotic, absolutely for sure. B complex, I never think is a bad idea. And it really depends on where you are in your hormonal life cycle. So we did talk about women who've got the perimenopausal phase. And those women in particular are going to specifically need the evening primrose oil. Women after the age of 35, most certainly. So it really depends on where you're at hormonally. And in the Sexy Shed, we do address that and talk about where are you at in your hormonal life cycle. And where are you at in terms of your weight deposition? Where are you gaining weight? How do you feel? How is this impacting your life? And we take all that into consideration and make sure that there is a lot of group support for you. The supplement plan is very targeted. And with the group coaching calls, you're able to at least be able to figure out what additions would be right for you. And I'm there obviously providing you with additional support. Jenna says, any recommendations for brands of B complex vitamins for someone with candida, since B vitamins are often derived from yeast? It's a great question. So yes, a lot of them are derived from yeast. However, with that said, I certainly have given B vitamins to people who have candida. It just depends on the severity of the candida. So if your candida levels are just out the roof, and it's systemic and there's toenail fungus and there's all these other symptoms that are going on, then you could be sensitive to it. So it really depends on the individual. It's like some people might be more sensitive to vinegar who have candida and other people are completely not affected by it. Like kombucha, some people are, some people aren't when they have candida. So it really depends. But otherwise, I think B vitamins are great because they also help with your liver detoxification, which is required for candida. Because if you're trying to push out candida, especially for weight loss, and you're not working at all on the liver, which we do work on in the Sexy Shed, then where do you think the candida is going to go? Your liver is also an elimination organ. So really, really important to remember that. Okay, guys, just a reminder, just under 7 minutes left. So I want to make sure that I just put that out there. Great question. So Bethany says, can excess progesterone cause anxiety as well? Not necessarily. So generally when we're seeing anxiety, we're seeing it in cases where progesterone levels tend to be low, where estrogen levels tend to be high. And we see that a lot in society because we're getting a lot of foreign estrogens from plastics, from even our drinking water. We are getting it from so many different sources, even some of the foods that we're consuming, whether it's commercial dairy or commercial meats where they're pumped with hormones and antibiotics and so forth. So you're normally seeing the opposite case, but anxiety certainly is definitely from a hormonal perspective, not always because of excess estrogen, but it is certainly one of the aspects of that. What if you can take an IUD that has some progesterone? Can you still take evening primrose? So currently, right now, there are absolutely no known side effects for evening primrose taken with something like the Mirena IUD. But if you're really concerned, I certainly would check in with your medical doctor for more. All right, guys, just to check in, just under 6 minutes remaining. So make sure that you get on this deal because $297 is pretty sweet, I gotta say, especially when the whole thing's valued at like $1,600. Eunice says, hi, Melissa. Thank you for all this. I eat low carb, high fat. I have lowered the protein and only do butter as dairy. Take most of the vitamins you recommend. Stress levels are a bit high. Worried about work, lack thereof. I notice my hair is super thin right now. I thought it was giving up grains, etc., but it's been 8 months. How can I stop my hair from thinning further? So truthfully, a big portion of, and hair loss can be multiple reasons. So I don't want to say that this is the number one reason, but stress certainly can impact hair loss. Abso-freaking-lutely. So that is definitely one of the things that I want to put that out there, that it certainly can impact, having hair loss. And again, as you would have seen in this presentation, I'm a huge fan of mindset work. I'm a huge fan of making sure that we're looking at the emotional components, because it's very hard to actually repair our health, even if it's from a weight loss perspective or even help with your thinning hair. Another part of it could be nutrient deficiencies. We see that a lot with B vitamins, biotin. You can try silica, some MSM. But truthfully, I would look at your stress levels, since you're saying that you're eating really well, but that your hair is thinning and you're under a lot of stress. So that's a huge indicator for me. All right. I've got, what if you can't take ashwagandha, says Carolyn. It depends on why you can't take it. So that's first and foremost. If you can't take it, then a really great alternative to that would be holy basil. What about spearmint and dim for PCOS? I've heard good things, but I haven't tried it. So studies have shown that spearmint actually help to lower testosterone. So not necessarily estrogen, like estrogen, its effects on estrogen, but mainly on testosterone. So a while back, actually, I did a recipe on my website, and it had chocolate spearmint fat bombs. And those were actually talking all about that specific case in general, about spearmint and its key to lowering testosterone. All right, guys, just around the 3-minute mark. We're almost under it. I was gonna say underneath it. Make sure that you get in on this offer, guys. If you're sitting there waiting on the fence, I'm just letting you know right now, when are you actually ever going to be able to get something that is this comprehensive, this much support for that little, when it's that much, right? Okay. I was told 2 years ago that I have insulin resistance, gained 65 pounds, and 9 months pregnant, and have not had a thyroid in 17 years, have Graves, scared to eat anything but low carb, had a hysterectomy, no starch, no sugar, and no grains, staying under 20 grams of carbs per day. So that's what Stacy says. So a lot of people will say that low carbohydrate is bad for your thyroid. I will say this, however, though, it's really important to make sure that you're consuming a lot of fat. And I know that you're scared to eat right now because you've gained a substantial amount of weight, but I have seen women very much in your case. I'll say that to Stacy, and I'll say that especially me designing Sexy Shed and the protocol that I've designed for it was meant for people who have hormonal issues and trying to lose the weight. So if you're scared to lose weight, I'm going to tell you right now, you're not alone, but it's the reason why that I've created what I created, got the experts in. I have some incredible experts talking about thyroid conditions, and I know that you don't have one anymore, but adrenal issues, which I can guarantee is still a huge part, obviously, of what you're going through. Had a hysterectomy, there's going to be some issues with estrogen, not in excess, but you're probably going to have low amounts of it. So there needs to be that also to be looked at as well. So this is a very comprehensive support, and that's the reason why the coaching calls have been added in, with expert coaching calls in addition to that. All right, guys, 2 minutes remaining. I want to make sure you guys get on this for those of you guys who are listening in, so that you don't miss out. All right. Andrea says, will there be an accountability with a Sexy Shed? For example, will anyone check in if I don't appear in the Facebook group? I'm excited. I would strongly suggest checking in the Facebook group. And the reason why is because once you do, you're going to see that it becomes more of a culture. Not even just a community, but a culture, like of women who are just there to kick butt. So I strongly would recommend it. And yeah, there are touch points in emails for sure. So that's a really big part of it. So the accountability really does take place in the private group. And once you get in it, I'm telling you, you're going to get addicted to it because it's awesome. All right. How is this program different from the Sexy Ladyballs program? I signed up for a monthly program back in November. So it is different in the sense that Sexy Ladyballs is a monthly membership, and it's quite comprehensive. This is actually a live coaching program where we actually include these expert interviews. You've got the coaching calls from me that are very targeted, versus in Sexy Ladyballs, we do Q&As every single week. So this is a little bit different in that regard, and this is the way to be able to supercharge your hormonal efforts. So these are all really great questions. Let's see if I can maybe answer one more, because we are out of time. So I'm going to squeeze in one more. And that's Jamie, who says, what if you don't have much of a weight issue, but more of a hormonal issue? Would this program still be beneficial? Absolutely. So a lot of people have asked me that because they're like, I'm really excited about this sexy shed. I actually don't really need to lose, weight or even a lot of weight. Is this still going to be applicable for me? And my answer would be yes, it would. And the reason why is because it's highly anti-inflammatory. The supplement plan really actually helps to boost cognitive function, memory. I don't know how many of you guys, but I know for me, it's like I said to you earlier, I need to write lists. I need, like, my memory was just shot. And now I feel like I have the mental clarity to be able to do the things and, you know, do the things that I love. Whereas before, I feel that the joy was almost drained from my life because I was just, you know, just foggy brained all the time. So we certainly address that as well. So it is very helpful for people, whether you are someone who has some added weight or somebody who has maybe just a little bit, or even want to sort of define and shape your body. All right, guys, thank you so much. I know we've got still quite a bit of questions. I've got people asking about the schedule, and I'll tell you this much: if you miss one of the coaching calls, don't sweat it, because you're just going to end up getting a replay, notes anyways, and all the dates are actually listed. When you sign up, you're going to see an entire listing of all the dates so that you can plan ahead versus feeling like, oh, I gotta, it's coming up this week, I can't do that. But we've actually got an entire schedule for you so that we tried to make this as easy as humanly possible. All right, guys. Okay, so yeah, so all that is there. Absolutely. Okay, guys, thank you so much. I hope that you signed up to this sexy shed. It is going to be fantastic. We've also have an incredible group of ladies who I know have already been signing up since we've been on this, which is great. And I look forward to being able to chat with you guys, engage with you, and help you kick some hormonal butt and kick that weight to the curb, which is kind of like an old saying, but you know what I mean. Anyways, take care. Have yourselves a wonderful night, and I will speak with you soon. Bye.